Basic cost of a funeral in Scotland has now risen to more than £4,000. It's prompting fresh calls for the Scottish Government to revisit how much financial support is available for those who need it when it comes to a loved one dying. One man from Falkirk, who was forced to give up his job to care for his sick partner before she died, has told STV News he was offered just 99 pence from the Scottish Government to help with her funeral costs. Courtney Cameron reports.
When James's partner Rochelle was diagnosed with cancer at the start of 2022, he didn't think by the end of that same year he'd be organising her funeral.
I don't think the majority of people realise how quick something like that can happen. If you've not got things put aside for that, because you're not planning on that as early. At 50-year-old, you're not expecting somebody to just die within a year of cancer.
Knowing how ill she was, Rochelle had been putting money into a plan every month to help James with the cost of her funeral. But when the time came, he was still £2,500 short. James turned to the Scottish Government for help, but says he was given just 99 pence. He was left with no choice but to take out an overdraft he's only just finished paying off.
That's the only way I can describe how I got through everything. You just autopilot for the first 5-6 months, and then you sit down and you think in reality more or less just hits you. You're struggling to pay cost of living, which is gas, electricity, things are all way up in price. Even food and things.
The latest figures have shown the cost of a basic funeral in Scotland has now risen to £4,030. Meanwhile, the average cost of dying, including a funeral plus fees and send-off costs, has reached a record high of £9,600. After discovering the average payout for people who are eligible for help with funeral costs is just under £2,000, charities are calling on the Scottish Government to review their financial support.
Yeah, we sometimes say that there's so much talk about a cost of living crisis that we've forgotten that there's been a 2 decades long cost of dying crisis. And what that means for an individual family can be just that the amount of debt they take on causes their household finances to spiral, and they never get out of that. People could be lumbered with poverty for the rest of their lives as a result of these huge debts that they mount up.
The Scottish Government says it's provided over £41 million since the funeral support payment was launched in 2019 and will increase the provision in line with inflation from April this year. As for James, he says he's finally back on his feet, but believes there should be more support available for families who need it the most. Courtney Cameron, STV News, Linlithgow.